Controls, software, scroll down. That's the sequence Tesla owners have been tapping into their touchscreens this year, sitting in the driveway with the boot open and the shopping still in it, to find out which computer their car was built with, because the answer decides whether the feature they paid for, up to $15,000 of it, will ever do what it was sold as doing. Nobody discovers that in week 1. You discover it at the 12-month mark, when the honeymoon is over and you start reading properly. So that's this video. Not a fault list, a timeline, delivery day to the first anniversary across all 5 Teslas, and the specific point in that year where each problem shows up. Fair warning before I start. Everything here is secondhand, deliberately. I haven't driven any of these cars for a week in nice weather. I've read years of owner threads, recall filings, regulator letters, and earnings call transcripts, and I'm telling you what keeps repeating. As of July 2026, this is the picture. Some of it changed this month, which tells you how fast this moves. Weeks 1 to 12, the honeymoon, and the small print. Almost nobody regrets a Tesla in the first month. The drivetrain is immediate. The app is genuinely good. Home charging changes your relationship with fuel entirely. That's real, and I'm not going to undercut it. What you notice instead is fit. Owner survey comments on 2025 and 2026 Model Ys read like a snagging list from a new build house. Doors and tailgate needing adjustment after purchase. A driver's seat foam going lumpy within days, taken in and coming back looking worse than before. A bonnet, hood, installed low enough that only Tesla's own wiper blades fit, and those streaking within 200 miles. Paint described as thin and chipping easily. One driver's window that dropped itself 2 inches every time it closed until it was realigned. None of that stops the car. All of it niggles. And then there's the money discovery, which for one owner in Sydney arrived at 12 weeks. He paid close to 100,000 Australian dollars for a 2026 Model 3 Performance. Call it 71,000 US, somewhere around 52,000 pounds. 12 weeks later, the trade-in estimate came back at roughly 63,400 Australian, around 37,000 gone. He posted that he understood cars depreciate, but that this felt like something else entirely. That's not a defect. It's the consequence of a manufacturer that adjusts new prices whenever it wants to move metal, and everybody holding a used one absorbs it. Months 3 to 6. The noises arrive. This is when the car stops being new to you and starts being a thing you listen to. And on the current Model Y, the 2025 and 2026 refresh, Juniper, what owners hear is a clunk from the front suspension at low speed, over bumps, and broken tarmac. Loud enough to hear over music. One owner said it sounds like the car is coming apart. The main forum thread on it ran past 127 pages and 2,500 posts by March this year. The pattern is what makes it a proper case. Control arm mount replaced, noise gone, noise back a few weeks later, or told it's within tolerance. Owners now coach each other to film it. Window down, crawl over a speed bump, phone on the dash, because a video is the only evidence a service center can't argue with. Same window in ownership, different cars, same theme. On the Model S, creaking over road imperfections, and owners keep landing on the same explanation. The car is so quiet that nothing hides. On the Model X, the Falcon Wing doors start doing their thing, halting partway on an obstacle that isn't there, not seating flush, clicking, rubbing the paint. On the Cybertruck, one owner spent 50 days in service chasing a squeak, 40 of them consecutive, with parts replaced and insulation added, and the noise stayed. And I'll be straight with you, the squeak isn't what would bother me. It's the 50 days. Rough roads accelerate all of it. If your commute involves gravel, patched tarmac, or a farm track at the end, you'll meet month 6 problems in month 3. Owners on rural roads also report stone chips arriving early on that thin paint, and the wheel covers on the standard 19s scratching the alloy underneath. Months 6 to 9. The first winter. Cold is where the ownership experience splits by geography, and where the numbers finally get honest. The Canadian Motoring Association tested 14 electric cars on real roads between -7 and -15. The Model 3 lost about 30% of its range, mid-pack, but took on 205 kilometers in a 15-minute charge, quickest in the test. A separate study covering more than 30,000 real cars put average freezing weather loss around 20%, with the Model Y retaining roughly 86%, and the Model S and X holding close to 88 or 89. That last figure is the best in the range, and better than most electric cars sold anywhere. But here's the part in the range figures hide. Short trips, 10 minutes from a frozen driveway, and most of the energy goes into heating the car rather than moving it. Owners in Ontario and northern England describe trip meters reading 40 or 50% losses on the school run and completely reasonable numbers on a long motorway drive the same week. Same car, same day. And the app tells you two different stories. Winter also surfaces the one I genuinely want every owner to know about. American federal regulators expanded an investigation into Tesla's retractable exterior door handles, having logged reports of them becoming inoperative when 12-volt battery voltage drops. Some of those reports involve children shut inside. Tesla was ordered to produce records. Whatever comes of it, learn where the manual interior release is on your specific car and show whoever else drives it. Months 9 to 12. Service becomes the story. By now, the faults are known, and the question is whether they get fixed. This is the stage where owner's tone changes in the threads. Less about the car, more about the queue. A Cybertruck owner in California posted about a red critical rear axle error appearing 3 times over a year, told each time it was software. His wife got the same error driving home, reset twice, made it back. When he tried to book again, nothing was available for 2 to 3 weeks. If you live in a city with several service centers and mobile technicians, you may never feel any of this. If you're regional, that car is your only car, and a 3-week wait is 3 weeks of arranging lifts and school runs with somebody else. Same vehicle, completely different ownership, and it comes down entirely to your postcode, which brings us to month 12, and the 2 things that only land at the anniversary. First one, the car you bought is not the car you'll be running. Tesla told buyers going back to 2016 that its cars had all the hardware needed for full self-driving and sold the software package on that basis for years at prices reaching $15,000. In April, Musk conceded on an earnings call that Hardware 3, fitted from 2019 in millions of cars, simply cannot achieve unsupervised operation, citing memory bandwidth at roughly an eighth of Hardware 4's. The stated remedy was a discounted trade-in toward an AI4 car or a retrofit requiring a new computer, new higher-resolution cameras, and a substantial rework of the wiring harness. Too invasive for service centers, so Tesla talked about dedicated conversion facilities in major cities. Then this month, the July earnings call. Asked directly about the upgrade path, Musk moved past Hardware 4 entirely and talked about a next-generation board, a moderate step up from AI4 or AI5, with production not expected until around the middle of next year, and Optimus first in the queue for it. No timeline, no committed path. I sat with that one for a while because it's a category of problem you don't get with a conventional car. Your gearbox doesn't become obsolete because of a software roadmap. And here's the honest limit of what I know. Tesla says AI4 is sufficient. Tesla also said that about Hardware 3. There's now an AI4 Plus with doubled memory in the plan. Whether today's car gets left behind the same way, I have no idea, and neither does anyone else outside the company. I'm flagging the pattern, not predicting the outcome. Second 12-month discovery. Tires and the total. High torque and heavy curb weight go through rubber. Owners are widely advised to hold something like $1,000 to $1,500, roughly 800 to 1,150 pounds, or 1,500 to 2,300 Australian, across the first couple of years for tires, alignment, and small suspension or trim jobs. Brakes usually last well because regeneration does most of the work. Depreciation, though, remains the single largest cost of owning any of these, ahead of electricity, insurance, and maintenance combined. Now, would they buy again? An early Cybertruck owner, one of the very first deliveries, spent 2.5 years and just over 19,000 miles going through repeated breakdowns and service visits. Tesla bought the truck back, full refund, without lemon law proceedings. He says he'll miss it, and he'll buy another eventually, but he's waiting for a properly updated version, because what he could buy this year looked much like what he bought in 2024. He also cracked his own windscreen standing on it, and he says so himself. And one long-term Model Y owner sold up for a hybrid. His reasons were nothing to do with faults. He moved flats and lost home charging. Supercharging cost more than fuel, plus real time out of his day, and he was tired of the cabin camera watching his eyes. Sold the Tesla for about $25,000, bought the hybrid for $12,000, and reports being happy. Read that one carefully because it's the most transferable story in this video. His problem was a parking space. If you're in a flat with no charger, his year 12 months from now is yours. Meanwhile, another owner, 6 Teslas deep since 2017, tracked down a rear seat rattle that only happens with the bench upright, having already had a vibrating windscreen camera housing fixed. His summary was roughly 1 down, 1 to go, and he still says he loves the car. Both things, same sentence, and that's Tesla ownership more accurately than any score out of 10. So the honest year, weeks of delight, then a snagging list, then a noise, then a winter that recalibrates your expectations, then a service queue, then a genuinely uncomfortable conversation about what you actually bought. Your turn, and be specific. If you're past the 12-month mark, what's your climate, and what's the one thing you didn't see coming? Ex-owners, you're the ones I most want to hear from. What tipped it, and what are you driving now? And if you're at delivery this week, tell me which model and which computer, and come back and tell me in a year. We ranked all 5 Teslas by first-year problems recently, and we went through the worst single fault on each one after that. This is the timeline underneath both. Next week, the electric SUVs people put up against the Model Y. Same treatment. That's the year as owners describe it. Whatever you decide, go in with the full picture rather than the test drive. Catch you in the next one.